The people who will damage you most are not your enemies. They are the ones who gain access to your time, your attention, and your trust. They don't control you by force. They control you by understanding you. They listen carefully. They mirror your values. They make harmful behavior feel reasonable. And by the time you sense something is wrong, you're already doubting yourself, protecting them from consequences, and calling your own exhaustion loyalty. This is how intelligent, self-aware people get destroyed quietly. Tonight, you'll learn why these 6 people are so dangerous and how to recognize them before they reshape your life. Type 1. The Emotional Leech. This person survives on your emotional availability. They always have a crisis, always have a problem, always need to talk now, urgently, repeatedly. At first, they appear vulnerable. You feel needed, important, and chosen. But over time, you notice something unsettling. Their problems never resolve. Your support never strengthens them. They feel lighter after talking to you. You feel heavier. They do not seek solutions. They seek relief. Your empathy becomes their coping mechanism. The danger is not their pain. The danger is that your emotional energy becomes their substitute for growth. And the longer you stay, the more responsible you feel for their stability. Type 2. The Master of Subtle Guilt. This person rarely asks directly. They imply, they sigh, and they remind. They never say, "You owe me." They say, "I wouldn't ask anyone else." Their disappointment is quiet, but powerful. You feel it before you understand it. You adjust your behavior to avoid it. They frame your boundaries as selfishness, your absence as abandonment, your independence as betrayal. Over time, you stop choosing freely. You choose what creates the least emotional friction. The danger here is psychological conditioning. You are trained to associate self-respect with guilt. And once that connection forms, control becomes effortless. Type 3. The Charming Opportunist. This person is likable, intelligent, and socially aware. They know how to say the right thing at the right time. They praise you early. They build rapport quickly. They are not aggressive. They are strategic. They observe your strengths and weaknesses. They learn what you value. Then they position themselves where they benefit most. At first, the exchange feels mutual. Later, you notice imbalance. They advance and you accommodate. When confronted, they appear reasonable. They explain, they justify, and they minimize. The danger is not dishonesty, it is selective honesty. They tell enough truth to maintain trust and omit enough to protect advantage. Type 4. The Professional Victim. This person is always wronged, always misunderstood, always treated unfairly. Every conflict has the same outcome. They are innocent, others are cruel. If you challenge them, you become part of the problem. If you question their role, you are insensitive. They weaponize sympathy. They recruit rescuers. They turn accountability into emotional harm. The danger here is moral exhaustion. You spend more time defending your intentions than evaluating their behavior. Eventually, you stop expecting change. You manage their reactions instead. And that is how manipulation disguises itself as compassion. Type 5. The Boundary Tester. This person pushes limits quietly. They start small, a joke that goes too far, a request that feels slightly uncomfortable. If you allow it, they escalate. If you resist, they retreat temporarily. They are watching, measuring, and learning what you tolerate. They frame boundary enforcement as overreaction. They say you're sensitive, dramatic, and rigid. The danger is normalization. What once felt wrong begins to feel familiar, and familiarity is the enemy of instinct. Over time, you lose track of where your limits were, not because you chose to abandon them, but because defending them became exhausting. Type 6. The Envious Disguised Ally. This person supports you publicly, but competes with you privately. They congratulate you, then minimize the achievement. They offer advice, then highlight risk and doubt. They smile while planting uncertainty. They appear close while subtly undermining confidence. They are rarely openly hostile. Their damage is indirect, psychological, and slow. The danger lies in erosion. Your self-belief weakens without a clear reason. Your momentum slows, your enthusiasm dulls, and because they never openly attack, you struggle to justify distance, but intuition knows before logic does. Why these six are especially dangerous. None of these people rely on force, they rely on access. They succeed because they exploit empathy, patience, loyalty, and self-doubt, traits usually associated with strength. And that is the pattern. The danger is not that they exist. The danger is that they remain unrecognized. In the next part, we will step back and define the deeper issue, the invisible psychological enemy that allows these patterns to repeat across different people, relationships, and environments. Problem definition. The real problem is not these six people. They are only expressions of something deeper. The invisible enemy is unprotected psychological access. Most people believe danger comes from intent, from cruelty, from obvious manipulation. But psychological harm rarely depends on malicious intent. It depends on permission, often given unconsciously. These six types succeed because they are allowed to remain close without clear limits, consequences, or evaluation. Not because you are weak, but because human psychology is designed for connection, consistency, and empathy. The mind seeks coherence. It prefers familiar discomfort over unfamiliar disruption. So when something feels wrong but not catastrophic, the brain chooses adaptation over confrontation. This is where the invisible enemy takes root. You don't ignore red flags. You reinterpret them. You soften them with explanations. You delay decisions until more information appears. That delay is not neutrality. It is exposure. The invisible enemy thrives in gray areas, where nothing is bad enough to justify leaving, but nothing improves enough to justify staying. Psychologically, this creates cognitive dissonance. Your experience conflicts with your self-image as a rational, fair person. To resolve the tension, the mind does not remove the threat, it reframes the perception. You tell yourself, they didn't mean it, it's not that serious, they're just going through something, I can handle it. Each justification reduces internal resistance. Each reduction increases tolerance, and tolerance, when repeated, becomes conditioning. Another layer of the invisible enemy is role entrapment. Once you are seen as the understanding one, the strong one, the reasonable one, leaving feels like identity loss. You are no longer just setting a boundary. You are contradicting the version of yourself others rely on. These six types understand this intuitively. They reinforce your role. They reward compliance with appreciation. They punish resistance with disappointment, confusion, or withdrawal. The mind learns a simple equation. Compliance equals peace. Distance equals discomfort. Over time, you stop asking whether something is healthy. You ask whether it is worth the emotional fallout to change it. That is how danger becomes normalized. The invisible enemy is also delayed consequence. If harm were immediate, recognition would be easy. But psychological damage accumulates slowly. Fatigue here, doubt there. A subtle loss of confidence over months or years. Because the cost is gradual, it feels manageable until it isn't. By the time exhaustion becomes obvious, the patterns are established, the roles are defined, and leaving feels disruptive rather than protective. This is why these six people are so effective. They don't demand control. They allow you to surrender it quietly. And because there is no single dramatic moment of betrayal, you question whether your discomfort is even valid. But discomfort is data. Confusion is information, and fatigue is feedback. The invisible enemy is not emotional, it is structural. It lives where boundaries are unclear, where responsibility is uneven, and where empathy is extended without evaluation. In the next part, we'll ground this in reality through real examples, recognizable behaviors, and historical patterns that show this is not personal failure. It is human nature under pressure. Real examples. To understand why these 6 people are so dangerous, you have to see how quietly their patterns repeat across history, relationships, workplaces, and personal lives. These dynamics are not rare, they are familiar. Example 1. The trusted insider. History shows that power is rarely lost to external enemies first. It is weakened from within. In courts, empires, and organizations, the most damage often came from advisors, not because they were openly hostile, but because they had proximity without accountability. They controlled information flow. They shaped perception. They influenced decisions indirectly. The leader believed they were protected because they were surrounded by loyalty. In reality, they were isolated from truth. This pattern appears in modern workplaces. A colleague who seems supportive but subtly redirects credit. A manager who praises publicly while undermining privately. No single act looks harmful, but the cumulative effect is loss of position, confidence, and clarity. Example 2. The relationship that slowly drains you. Many people describe a similar experience in close relationships. At first, the connection feels intense and meaningful. You talk often, you feel needed, and you feel important. Over time, imbalance appears. You listen more than you speak. You give more than you receive. Your needs feel inconvenient. When you pull back, guilt follows. When you assert boundaries, conflict escalates. So you adapt. You tell yourself it's temporary. You believe patience will fix it. Months later, you feel exhausted but struggle to explain why. Nothing dramatic happened. Nothing abusive enough to justify leaving. Yet your energy, motivation, and peace have steadily declined. And that is the danger. Example 3. The victim narrative at work or in family. The professional victim appears everywhere. In families, it's the relative who is always treated unfairly, who always needs support, who never takes responsibility. In workplaces, it's the colleague who avoids accountability by highlighting how overwhelmed they are. Anyone who challenges them becomes insensitive, unfair, and cruel. Over time, the group adjusts. Standards lower, expectations shift. The victim never changes. Everyone else carries the weight. This pattern survives because confronting it creates social friction. Silence feels easier than correction. Example 4. The slow erosion of self-trust. One of the most consistent outcomes of exposure to these 6 types is not anger, it is self-doubt. People describe second-guessing simple decisions, replaying conversations, wondering if they overreacted. This happens because subtle manipulation creates internal conflict without resolution. You feel something is wrong, but nothing is clear enough to confront. Over time, you stop trusting your instincts. You seek external validation. You defer decisions. That loss of self-trust is one of the most damaging consequences. Why these examples matter? None of these situations begin with danger. They begin with access. The harm is not in one moment. It is in repetition, in normalization, in the slow rewriting of what feels acceptable. Once you recognize these patterns, you realize they are not personal failures. They are predictable psychological dynamics, and predictability means they can be interrupted. In the final part, we will focus on that interruption, what to do, what to change, and how to protect yourself without becoming cold, suspicious, or isolated. Practical takeaways. Protection does not require aggression, it requires clarity. The first shift is understanding this, and you do not need proof of harm to justify distance. Discomfort is enough, confusion is enough, and exhaustion is enough. Stop waiting for certainty. Danger rarely announces itself clearly. It accumulates quietly. Number 1. Move from explaining to observing. Dangerous people benefit from over-explanation. They thrive when you argue your boundaries instead of enforcing them. Say less and watch more. Patterns reveal themselves without confrontation. Consistency exposes intention faster than discussion. If someone repeatedly drains you, that information matters more than anything they say. Number 2. Set boundaries without emotional justification. A boundary does not need a backstory. It does not need approval. It does not need to feel kind. I'm not available for that. I won't continue this conversation. This doesn't work for me. Notice who respects these statements. Notice who resists them. Resistance is data. Number 3. Redefine loyalty. Loyalty to others should never require betrayal of yourself. If staying means shrinking, if helping means exhaustion, if understanding means self-neglect, it is not loyalty. It is self-erasure, and true loyalty includes self-respect. Number 4. Separate empathy from responsibility. You can understand someone's pain without becoming responsible for managing it. Compassion does not require sacrifice without limits. Empathy does not require endless availability. Ask yourself one question regularly. Is this relationship reciprocal or conditional? Number 5. Trust pattern. Recognition over intent. Intent is invisible and patterns are not. You do not need to label someone as bad. You only need to notice what happens around them. Do you feel clearer or confused, stronger or depleted, more yourself or less? Your nervous system notices before your mind does. Listen to it. Number 6. Accept that distance is not punishment. Walking away is not cruelty. It is preservation. Some people cannot grow with the version of you that has boundaries. That is not your failure. It is the cost of self-respect. Final reframe. The goal is not to avoid people. The goal is to avoid patterns. You don't need to become suspicious. You need to become selective. Clarity attracts healthier dynamics. Boundaries filter manipulation naturally. When access is earned, not assumed, these 6 people lose their power. If this helped you see something clearly, sit with it before reacting. Distance doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's internal. And if you want more clarity like this about psychology, power, and self-respect, stay here. You're not alone in noticing what others ignore.